In the quiet village of Kuje, life flowed like the slow-moving river, steady, predictable, and unchanging. Boys grew up to become farmers, fishermen, or carpenters, just like their fathers before them. Girls, after completing secondary school, would marry young, settle down, and devote themselves to raising children and caring for their homes. The concept of university was foreign, almost mythical. For the people of Kuje, education ended with secondary school, and that was considered more than enough. Parents were content as long as their children could read and write. They never asked for more because they had never known more. Life in Kuje was as constant as the rising and setting sun, unbroken for generations. But something was coming, something that would stir the still waters of this village. A change, subtle at first, was brewing like a distant storm. The villagers didn't know it yet, but life as they knew it was about to shift forever. One bright, sunlit morning, Kuje village burst into life. A group of university students arrived from the city on an excursion, their presence like a gust of fresh wind. They came dressed in bright clothes, polished shoes, and carried books with confidence. The villagers had never seen such people, so full of energy and purpose. The students spoke of the city with wonder, their words like music in the ears of the villagers. "Look at how they walk," the people whispered. "Listen to how they talk." The students spoke of machines that built houses and made farming easier. They described a world of learning powered by technology. Eyes widened with awe. Even the village chief, leaning on his walking stick, stood speechless. This, he thought, is what our children should become. For the first time, the villagers allowed a dream to bloom, a dream of sending one of their own to the city for higher education. That brief visit sparked a quiet revolution. They wanted more for their children, tall postures, wise minds, proud hearts. They gathered under the great Irako tree, men stroking their beards, women whispering with hope, and children listening wide-eyed. And then a voice said it, "Fake." Everyone nodded. She was different. Her beauty was like sunlight after a storm, pure and radiant. She was clever, always alert, always kind. The elders smiled when they saw her. "Yes," they said, "Fake will be the one to make Kuje proud." So, the villagers prepared her journey with love. Women packed food, dried yams, ground pepper, a bit of palm oil. The men pooled every coin they had. Old women placed trembling hands on her head, whispering blessings of protection and strength. "Go Fake," they said. "Remember us. Make us proud." And with her heart brimming with hope and a small bag clutched in her hand, Fake stepped into the unknown. The whole village watched her go, eyes misty, waving goodbye as their dreams rode on her slender shoulders. The city was a world unlike anything Fake had known. Towering buildings loomed like ancient trees, cars sped past like flocks of birds, and people moved with determined purpose. Her heart thudded with awe and fear. School was strange at first, but Fake adapted quickly. She listened intently, raised her hand often, and earned the respect of her teachers and the friendship of her peers. Soon, she met Toshi, a city girl who became her closest friend. Toshi knew every shortcut, every safe path, and every unspoken rule of city life. With her guidance, Fake felt less alone. But city life was not kind. The little money from Kuje barely fed her. Often, she slept hungry, clutching her pillow, whispering to herself, "I must not fail them." Every coin she received felt like a prayer from her people. She studied harder, fought through the pain, and carried the weight of her village's dreams. Then, the smiles around her began to change. Some classmates with fine clothes and polished accents began to mock her simple dresses, handmade, stitched with pride, but seen as odd in the city. Whispers followed her steps. "She's just a village girl," they'd sneer. Laughter stung like insect bites. The boys blocked her path, their voices cold. "Go back to where you came from." The cruelty made her shoulders droop, but Fake remembered her home, her people, and their faith in her. That kept her going. Yet, a shadow began to grow. Toshi, her cheerful friend, always seemed to have new clothes, snacks, and luxuries, even though her family was not rich. Fake asked once, gently, "How do you afford all this?" Toshi only laughed, brushing the question away. "Just a little hustle here and there," she said. But Fake noticed things, the way Toshi dressed up in the evenings, the gleam in her eyes, the secrets in her smile. The mystery haunted her. The city was demanding more than she had to give, and her hunger clawed at her day and night. Her letters home were filled with trembling honesty. "Things are hard here, Mama. I don't want to be a burden." Still, Kuje sent what they could: dried fish, a few coins, and their unshakable love. One night, as she lay hungry and worn, Fake reached her breaking point. At dawn, she found Toshi and whispered, "Please let me work with you. Whatever it is, I can't live like this anymore." Toshi turned to her, eyes filled with something unreadable. Toshi's smile slowly faded, replaced by a serious gaze as she looked at her friend. She could see it clearly now. Fake was desperate. "Fake," she began gently, her voice low, "are you sure? This isn't like other jobs. It's different." But Fake's eyes held a steady resolve. Her hunger, her helplessness, had drowned out every hesitation. "I don't care," she said firmly, her voice stronger than she felt. "Just show me. I have no choice." There was a long silence. Then, Toshi finally nodded. She led Fake to a quiet corner where the city lights barely reached, casting thin shadows over cracked pavement. "Listen carefully," Toshi whispered. "This isn't something you talk about, not with anyone. It's a way to earn money fast, yes, but it's not what you think. It's not easy, and it changes you." And there, in hushed tones heavy with warning, Toshi told her everything. Fake's heart skipped, her pulse racing as the truth sank in. This wasn't the kind of work she'd imagined. It was dangerous, taboo, something her people in Kuje would never accept. But the hunger had been gnawing at her for too long, and the weight of her village's hopes pressed too hard. Fake nodded without a word. "I'll do it," she whispered. Her voice was quiet, but inside, something cold and determined had settled. That night, Toshi brought her a dress that shimmered like starlight, something that made Fake look like she belonged in the city, not the village she came from. Then came the makeup, bold colors she had never worn, her face transformed until even she couldn't recognize the girl in the mirror. "You look perfect," Toshi said with a nod. Her smile was gentle, but distant. Fake followed her to a bar pulsing with life. Music pounded like a heartbeat. The air was thick with perfume, alcohol, and chatter. Strangers moved like shadows under the lights. Toshi led her through it all, teaching her how to laugh, how to talk, how to charm. Fake was nervous, but determined. She copied every word, every move. By night's end, she sat beside a man who handed her money, more than she had ever seen. Earlier, she had pleased him in a private room, something she tried not to think about. Now, the coin slipped into her hand like a strange gift from another world. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, she felt full, not just in her belly, but in a strange place inside her. The hunger had been replaced by something sharper, a thrill, a dangerous satisfaction. When she stepped out of the bar, the city lights seemed brighter. Her pockets were full, her fear quieter. She spent freely, tasting food she had only dreamed of, buying small comforts she once thought were out of reach. For a brief moment, she forgot everything: the village, her promises, even the faith that had carried her here. She had tasted a new kind of freedom, honey-sweet and shadowed by something dark. Fake had stepped into a dazzling, dangerous world, and with every step, she drifted further from the girl Kuje had sent to the city in hope. One early morning, she returned from the home of a wealthy man. Her limbs were heavy, her body aching as if weighed down by something she couldn't name. Her skin burned faintly. "It's just exhaustion," she told herself. "Just the late nights, maybe a fever." She collapsed onto her bed, hoping rest would cure her. But when she awoke, the weakness was still there. Days passed. The fatigue grew. Her body seemed to slip further out of her control. Her friends noticed. Laughter turned to concern. They brought her food, medicine, anything they could think of, but nothing helped. Then came something stranger. Her belly began to swell. At first, she thought it was her imagination, but the curve grew more defined each day, hardening like clay. Meanwhile, her limbs thinned out. Her arms, legs, even her face, frail as twigs. The girls began to whisper. "It's like Goko," one murmured, wide-eyed with fear. "But how?" another said. "She eats more now than ever." Fake herself was terrified. She would touch her belly gently, as if trying to decode its message. Her bones jutted out, her cheeks hollowed, her once bright eyes now looked haunted, and still her belly swelled, as if it held something far more terrifying than life. Her friends tried everything. Herbs, local cures, even visits to doctors. But nothing stopped the decline. Her skin dulled. Her hair lost its shine. Her body, so radiant once, seemed to fade like a dying flame. Eventually, even the doctors shook their heads. "There's nothing we can do," they said. And slowly, her friends, afraid of what they didn't understand, began to drift away. Fake lay alone, her breath shallow, her limbs cold, her life slipping through her like water through open fingers. Finally, desperate, her remaining friends made a decision. "We must take her back," they said. "To Kuje. It's the only place left." They wrapped her in a blanket and carried her through the early morning mist, her body so light now it barely seemed to belong to the earth. They arrived at Kuje on a gray morning. The village gathered, faces lit with anticipation. They had dreamed of this moment, Fake returning triumphant, transformed by the city, but what they saw silenced them. Their golden girl, their pride, looked like a ghost. Her face was pale and sunken, her limbs too thin, her belly round in a way that seemed more curse than blessing. And her eyes held a silence that spoke of pain too deep for words. Her friends said little. "She became sick," they muttered. "The city was too hard." They gave no details, said no names. Then, quietly, they turned and walked away, back to the city, leaving Fake behind. The villagers stood frozen. Murmurs spread like ripples on a pond. This is not our Fake," someone whispered. Her parents rushed to her side, tears falling freely. They had sent a bright, bold girl chasing the sky. Now she lay broken, frail and silent. The elders gathered. Fake lay on a mat in the village square, surrounded by the faces of those who had once cheered her departure. With trembling lips, she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "Life in the city was hard," she began, her eyes downcast. "The money wasn't enough. Hunger followed me like a shadow." Her voice cracked. "I met a friend. She showed me a way to survive. But it was a path I should never have taken. I forgot why I left. I forgot all of you." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I disgraced you. I brought shame to our village." The oldest elder stepped forward, Elder Na, with a firm hand placed gently on her head. His voice was low but steady. "What you suffer now is not ordinary sickness," he said solemnly. "You are with child, conceived outside of marriage." Gasps and murmurs spread. "This is not just illness," Elder Na continued. "This is the curse that falls upon those who break the sacred bonds of our tradition." Toshi's smile faded, her eyes darkening with concern as she looked at her friend. "Fake," she began carefully, her voice low. "Are you sure this isn't like the other jobs you tried?" Fake's gaze didn't waver. Her eyes were resolute, her need too great to turn back now. "I don't care," she said firmly, though her voice trembled slightly. "Just show me. I have no choice." After a long silence, Toshi nodded solemnly and led her to a quiet corner where the glow of the city lights cast faint, flickering shadows. "Listen," Toshi said in a hushed tone. "This isn't something you ever speak about, not to anyone. It's fast money, yes, but it's not what you think." There, under the weight of whispered words, Toshi revealed the truth. Fake's heart raced. Her pulse thundered in her ears as she grasped the meaning behind Toshi's confession. This wasn't the work she had imagined. It felt foreign, risky, shameful. Something the people of Kuje would never understand. But Fake, worn down by hunger and desperation, simply nodded. "I'll do it," she whispered, her voice barely audible but laced with resolve. For the first time in months, she felt a flicker of relief, though it came hand in hand with a deepening darkness. Her path was changing, and she could feel it, but there was no turning back. That night, Toshi brought her a dress that shimmered like the stars. It transformed Fake into someone who seemed to belong to the city. Toshi applied makeup, colors Fake had never worn, and when she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized the girl staring back. "You look perfect," Toshi said, her smile reassuring but distant. Together, they walked into a bar pulsing with lights and music. The air buzzed with laughter and bodies in motion. Toshi guided her, whispering tips on how to talk, laugh, and charm. Nervous but determined, Fake followed every instruction, her survival instinct sharper than ever. Later that night, Fake sat beside a man who handed her more money than she had ever seen. Earlier, she had pleased him behind closed doors. Now, the coin slipped into her palm like a gift from another world, their weight stirring something strange inside her. She had entered with hunger in her heart. Now she tasted something else. A dangerous excitement. When she left the bar that night with full pockets, the city lights seemed brighter. Her worries felt far away. She spent lavishly on food, treats, pleasures she had only dreamed of. For a fleeting moment, she forgot her village, her dreams, her purpose. All that remained was the thrill of her newfound freedom, sweet and intoxicating. But with every step forward, she drifted further from Kuje, the village that had once cradled her in Hope Point. One early morning, Fake returned from the lavish home of a wealthy client. Her body ached, a deep tiredness settling into her bones. Her skin burned slightly, but she brushed it off. Perhaps it was just exhaustion, she thought, or a minor fever. She curled into bed, hoping sleep would soothe her, but the weakness didn't go away. Day by day, she grew more fatigued, as though her body were slipping from her grasp. Her friends noticed. Their laughter turned to worry. They brought food, medicine, everything they could think of. But Fake kept fading. Then, something stranger happened. Her belly began to swell. At first, she thought it was her imagination, but each day it grew rounder, harder. Meanwhile, the rest of her body shrank, her arms and legs thinning, her face becoming hollow. The other girls began to whisper, "It's like Goko," one murmured with dread. "But how? She eats more than any of us now." Fake was frightened. She pressed her hands to her belly, trying to understand. Her skin clung to her bones, her cheeks sunk, and yet her belly continued to grow, as if it held something darker than hunger. Her friends did everything they could. Herbs, prayers, potions passed from hand to hand. They watched over her, hoping each morning would bring her strength back. But nothing worked. Her hair dulled, her glow vanished, and her once bright eyes faded under the weight of a shadow. Eventually, even her friends began to drift away, afraid of what they couldn't explain. Desperate, they made a decision. "We must take her home," one said. "To Kuje. Maybe they can help her." With heavy hearts, they carried Fake's frail body, wrapped in a soft blanket, and made the journey back to the village, the only place that might still hold hope. That on a gray, misty morning, they arrived in Kuje. The villagers rushed out, excitement lighting their faces. For months, they had imagined this day. Fake returning proud and radiant, a symbol of hope. Perhaps she would wear fine city clothes and speak with confidence. But what they saw left them in stunned silence. Fake was unrecognizable, her face pale and sunken, her body withered, her belly grotesquely swollen. Her eyes were vacant, haunted. The once vibrant girl they had sent off with dreams now looked like a ghost returned from some terrible place. Her friends, avoiding the villagers' eyes, explained in clipped, vague words that Fake had become ill, that the city had been hard, that they didn't know what else to do but bring her home. And then, just like that, they turned and left, returning to the world they knew, leaving Kuje and Fake's fate behind. The villagers stood in silence, sorrow and confusion blending in their hearts. Her parents knelt beside her, tears spilling freely. They had sent a girl full of life, and now they welcomed back only a fragile shell, laid gently on a woven mat in the village square. Fake whispered, her voice barely a thread. "Life in the city was hard," she said. "The money you sent, it wasn't enough. I tried. But hunger, it stayed with me. I met a friend, Toshi. She showed me a way to survive, but I forgot who I was. I forgot you. I chose the wrong path." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I have brought shame to you. To all of Kuje." Elder Enna stepped forward. Stern yet gentle, he laid a hand on her head. "This is not a simple illness," he said solemnly. "You are with child, conceived outside marriage. This is the curse of our tradition, a punishment for breaking this sacred bond." The villagers murmured in solemn agreement. The swollen belly, the failing body, it all matched the stories every child in Kuje grew up hearing, but Elder Enna's voice softened. "There is a cure. We have seen this sorrow before. The path to healing is not easy. But if you are willing, you can be whole again. Fake looked up, eyes filled with both shame and hope. She nodded. The villagers, hearts touched with compassion, surrounded her with care. The herbalists whispered prayers and prepared healing oils. They tended to her daily, massaging her belly, guiding her spirit home with love and devotion. Slowly, her body regained strength. Her eyes lit up once more. She ate, listened, learned, this time not for survival, but for restoration. And then, under a quiet moon, Fate gave birth to a baby boy. His cry pierced the night like a song of rebirth. She named him Aod. Joy has come home. He was not just her son. He was her redemption. With newfound strength, Fate vowed to finish what she had once begun. She returned to school, this time holding her son in one arm and her dreams in the other. It was not easy. Her days were long, her burdens heavy. But she did not falter. Years passed. Fake's hard work bore fruit. She became a woman of great respect, not only for her wisdom but for her resilience. When she returned once more to Kuje, it was not as the broken girl who had strayed, but as a woman reborn. The villagers celebrated her. They no longer saw shame, they saw strength. Her story became legend, passed from lips to eager ears. A tale of courage, failure, forgiveness, and ultimately, transformation. And as the seasons turned, the people of Kuje spoke her name with pride. Fake, the girl who fell, but rose again, a beacon for all who would walk their own uncertain paths.